So, Monster Hunter never misses with its games, but its hunts are a different story. In this video, I'll be ranking monster hunts based on how good they are, how fun, and just overall how I feel about them. Without further ado, thank you so much for watching, and let's talk about it. I'm not spending too much time down here because, let's be real, no one willingly hunts the monsters in this tier unless they need some early material that they can't get otherwise. So in no order specifically, it goes moves around too much, also moves around too much, moves around too much again, somehow moving way more than the other two. Just guess what I'm gonna say about this guy. Moves around too much, charges too much, and it's so easy that it becomes boring 30 seconds into the fight. Annoying to hit, annoying hitboxes, garbage fight, more annoying hitboxes, and never got better throughout the franchise, I feel. Slides around a lot, but the use of snow and ice bite is keeping him from the bottom of the barrel. At least the moves look cool. The poison is the only challenging part of the fight. An old monster, and it's still a pretty lackluster fight until you get to master rank, but even then, nothing to write home about. They somehow made a bear fight kinda cool with its swiping, charging, and grappling moves. Roars too much, and for some reason I get stunned way more fighting this guy, and maybe it's because of the Thunder Blight, but I don't have the issue with the other Thunder monsters. When you do get stunned by this guy, it's always a skill issue and definitely not a luck issue. Basically, Amphibian Arzuros, but the sumo inspiration along with similarities from Japanese folklore of the Kappa at least make this guy way more interesting than the monsters below him. But that isn't saying a lot. These hunts aren't in a super particular order, so wherever they're placed doesn't say too much on how fun they are. It's just the overall tier. But just know that they certainly have some unique elements that prevent them from being too boring, so I'll lay them out. Even though it's a very old monster, they added enough cool moves and updated the old ones to prevent it from being C tier. Nimble, agile, hits hard, and the fire element is a nice touch. An oldie, but goodie. Head is a little weird to hit sometimes though. A fanged beast that flies but isn't a wyvern by any means, yeah, that's as unique as it can get. Replacing the poison with the fire blight and having it be more active in its hunt was a nice touch. Also, the name is pretty cool. Not a super fun fight in the old games, but at least this one has some cool moves, and the music hits different in the good way. An actual interesting sleep monster that can hit hard if you touch even a pixel of its gas. I hate this fight, but the moveset is pretty cool. Sleep instead of ice, but it's a good warm-up for the best ice monster in the game. Pretty much a better Nursilla, and a versatile use of its webs make it somewhat fun to fight, but the fire kind of throws me off. It's just him with more fire, but watching him light his own webs up like they're traps is kind of cool. Interesting dragon design. I can tell they had fun making it before, and the fight is alright. I just wish at a higher ranks he didn't move around too much, and the hitboxes can be kind of wonky. It's Fire Blight Amudron, but when he uses his big attacks, it's a pretty good sight to see. Very good design, another returning monster, but nothing I won't complain about. Didn't know this was an old monster until I did next to no research, but I like how he looks, and I'm a sucker for the tank aesthetic. Also, the fire, poison, blast breath combo really threw me off. This guy was difficult for a few attempts, but I think what really sells the fight is the scale of his attacks that you don't really expect until you hunt him. I know the Apex monsters have gotten a lot of hate, but I personally don't think they're all too bad, but most of them aren't making out of this tier. This one does a lot more with its size, literally throwing rocks at you and landing so hard it makes craters. The female version of the Monster Hunter staple, but honestly nothing special to write about her. She just flies and hits you with poison and fire, and it's kind of annoying. The actual Monster Hunter staple, but like his wife, he kind of has nothing super cool going on, though he is more aggressive and his moves get cooler in higher ranks. Haven't fought her too much, but the fact that I barely remember how her hunts play out speaks volumes. The Abominable Snowman inspiration really sells it, and its intro scene goes hard for a monster this low on the list. Popular monster in the community, loved all around and throughout the franchise, its fight never really sucked. Another popular monster, more so than the last one, the utilization of Thunder Blight and its music specifically makes this hunt worth it. It's a mirror of Thunderlord from Generations, but it's somewhat a fun fight if you got his moves down, and his aggression makes it a challenging fight to an extent. Another dragon-esque design, but the music is fantastic, and landing hits on her to knock her out of Bubble Coat will never not be satisfying. A little more hectic, especially with the added addition of fire, but if you watch a lot of speedruns and use their strategies, it can be a very fun fight. Pretty much nothing to say that I haven't said already, but they really had to put in 3 versions of this monster. Really? The Fire Blast and Final Attack are really cool, and his difficulty is there. Sometimes it can get too annoying with the Afflicted version, but all in all, if I need a challenge, I wouldn't mind hunting this one. A fun thunder monster. Grab a longsword or any counter weapon and you'll have a blast. He's really aggressive, crashing down with lightning AoE, slamming his wings down, charging with his signature yellow surge. No complaints from me. Her second form is cool, but the flying is overdone to the moon, so maybe tone it down. I did say the flying is overdone for Godin, but this guy never touches the ground, but at least his final attack is cool to see. Moves a little wonky, and he's kind of annoying to land hits on, and his sweeping attacks deal a lot of damage for some reason. Wait, I'm supposed to say something good. His armor looks cool and the music is alright. Charges a lot, the hitboxes are pretty consistent, the armor looks good, music is alright, but the design is etched into my mind. I think they did really good with its design over the years, especially in this game. Source of the Frenzy Virus. He dives a lot and charges, but his design is cool and his attacks aren't super difficult to counter. Finally, we're getting to some good hunts. The werewolf aesthetic needs no explanation. Seeing her transform throughout the fight is always so cool. Her attacks are really smooth and she really lets you feel it when you get hit. I made a video about him already, but big monkey with exploding fists and emits steam when he gets angry, and his final attack during his afflicted explosion will always be a great one for me. Similar to Tigrex, but a really fun fight when you read him like a book. Yeah, he hits like a truck, but overall, I would hunt. Bloodbath Diablos will always be my favorite deviant monster, but with the steam showing more as he gets angrier, and the way he seems to move the earth itself, I can't lie, this is a pretty good fight for an Apex. These are the fights I pretty much spam when I want to have some fun. Watch this. The lamest of this tier, but his intro is good and his miss makes a unique environment that most monsters can't really replicate. Much like his normal counterpart, except his attacks are pretty cool and easily telegraphed if you're not blind. Maybe an acquired taste, but he's satisfying a counter and the invisibility adds some difficulty to the point where if you're not careful, his final tail slam will hit you. Honestly, a really fun dragon fight and he makes you feel like you're really against a natural disaster, so good fight all around. He somehow one-ups himself, and although it feels incredibly overdone on his part, the fast attacks and final nuke attack make him a challenge worth confronting. Base game's flagship, at higher ranks he becomes way more hectic with his blast attacks and he does move around pretty frequently, but his final attack with all the purple and the tight window you have to avoid it all makes him worth fighting. Rage incarnate, from his roars to his music to his attacks, all around I can't find anything bad about his hunt without nitpicking. He's an AC 130 with infinite ammo, what's not to love? Yeah, his pods get in the way, but with proper spacing he's a pretty fun fight. His final attack is really cool, the rings of his purple pods, plus hitting his weak spots makes you feel the weight of your attack, which is always a plus. His lore is pretty interesting and he has a pretty good armor set as well as good looking, and while he certainly punches way above his weight class, the fight is fun with the way you have to quickly rack up damage to prevent frenzy much faster compared to Gore Magala, so the stakes are higher as a result. In my opinion, she's harder than her world counterpart, but once you get her patterns down, it's a really fun fight. And did I mention the music is such a bop? Remember when I said Kushala feels like a natural disaster? This guy exaggerates that feeling and makes you wonder if you're going to cart in the next 3 seconds. From the blast, to the flames, to the dive bombs, and well-telegraphed attacks, once you get it down, it really feels like you're up against a cataclysmic event with some chance of prevailing. Just like his normal counterpart, but even more crazy with the blast spam and increase in literal firepower. But once you get a read on his attack patterns, he can be a really fun monster to hunt. These monsters are at the top of my list because honestly, from how their hunts go, to their music for some of them, to the way they just look and how I feel hunting them, these fights I will never forget as being some of my favorite fights in the series. Badass name with his badass intro. As soon as you provoke him, when the first thing a monster does is nuke the entire arena you're supposed to be hunting it in, you know the fight is going to be hectic and won't slow down for any reason until you die. The flagship of Sunbreak. His attacks are really satisfying to predict and the music is a banger, of course. The vampire aesthetic is always a yes. Great fight. Man, I remember fighting this guy for the first time and just seeing him pull out a new form every 3 minutes like a Dragon Ball character. But honestly, another great fight with a lot of spectacle and frenzy explosions. I love this fight for the absolute scale, as well as the next 2 monsters I'll list, but with all the lasers and the use of the Dragonator and heavy artillery, this fight goes from calm to crazy in a few minutes if you're not quick in killing her. Nothing too different from Narwhal's fight, and the whole artillery shooting the rocks, as well as the dragon attacks, also add a lot to his fight. An incredible final fight for the base game. The buildup of the music towards the end really sells it, and every attack from her just has so much weight behind it. And when the mystery monster comes in on some wrestling is a 3-dimensional fight, just for you to mount and deal huge damage with the mounting finisher, it's insane, but in the great way. When I hunted this guy for the first time, every attack had me on the edge of my chair. With the Dragon Blight spam and the use of his jetpacks, I firmly believe that Valstrix is one of the most well-designed monsters in the franchise, and I'm dying on that hill. And for the cherry on top, it's another banger. Oh my god. My favorite thunder monster hunt in the game, and it's just Rajang, but angrier. But the Super Saiyan mode, along with this whole design, is just mwah. His aggression and attacks just make it better. It's a fight that rarely misses. The scale, the arena, the music, everything about this boss is just, I have no words. From the crystals to shooting the Curiosis with the artillery to the final form where it's basically just a war of attrition between you and him. I've already repeated so much throughout this video. And I know that some people don't really like the whole fight, but I don't really care because I'm not obligated to, but the Abyssal Demon will be ending this list. Yeah, I know this video is somewhat sloppy, but I just wanted to rant about how much I really love this game and all the effort Capcom put into it. If anyone disagrees with anything I said, that's fine, and for those who like the video, let me know what your favorite monster is in the comments below and what videos I should do next. I stream every Thursday and at least once during the weekends, and I finished setting up my Discord server if you guys want to join me on my YouTube journey, so the link will be in the description below. But thank you guys so much for watching. I'm grateful for everyone who has watched so far. If you want to, leave a like, subscribe, whatever, and if you don't, that's fine by me, but in any case, I will see you guys in the next video. Love y'all.